Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the next topic, that is we are going to look at a line of Alapin variation, plus I am trying to show you one of my game against titled player. So we are combining two lessons here. All these lessons are very useful for the Mora Gambit players also, because Mora Gambit can often transpose to the two lines of Alapin variation. I'll show you the point here. Let's see. After e4, c5, c3, we get the same position after c. d5, ed, queen d5, d4, same as the one from the move order c. See d4, c takes d4, c3, and here also d5, ed, q d5, cd. This gets us to the same position which we will have after the move cd. Okay. So this kind of variations are very useful for the both Mora Gambit and Alapin variation players. Of course, for the Mora Gambit player, he has to study all the lines of accepted, but for the Alapin player, this happens to be one of the main lines. The line which we are going to discuss today is one of the main lines, and I am going to show some very interesting ideas. Hence, I have taken my own game. It's easier to explain through the own games. Here the opponent is around 2300 rated. He is an IM. Let's see how the game goes. After c3, d5, ed, q d5, d4. Most players don't take cd4 over here. They either go nc6, the main line of nc6, nf3, bg4, which we have discussed before. Otherwise, they go with the move nf6, keeping the options of bishop g4 for a later use, or they skip the move bg4 entirely, like in this game. So nf3. Now, if bg4, be2, nc6, we have our previous lessons of Alapin. You can check there. So e6, and now white plays bishop e3. The reason I switched to this opening from Alapin Sicilian is we get many IQP kind of positions, that is the isolated queen pawn positions. You can check out my series on IQP, how to play with or get attacked with IQP positions. I started liking those. White gets very good kingside attack. This line in concern here, I will tell you that the point is, in some cases we get IQP after CD, but that is not great with a bishop on e3 already. And the other lines are like white has bishop pair, and on d4 he captures with a piece. So that also I like. There white has two options, either to go for kingside attack or play with this queenside pawn majority. We'll talk about it soon. So nc6, and now see here, instead of bd3, which would allow cd, that kind of position, I prefer the move knight a3. See, knight a3 has two ideas. Right now, many people think bc4 is threat, but bc4 is not the real idea. If black goes a6, then knight c4 will be very strong. Knight can go to e5, it threatens knight b6. But mainly black does c takes d4, and with c takes d4, we don't want to allow bishop a3, right? So the purpose is to go here, see nb5 and capture with knight on d4. So we want at the end bishop on d4. So let's say now queen d8 only move, because knight c7 is a threat. So after q d8, knight d4, bd4. This is the position I am looking at. Bishops go to d4, d3, knight goes to e5, queen comes to f3, and a splendid kingside attack happens. If the kingside attack is not successful, then all the endgames you will see, pawns with 3 versus 2 on the queen side, give at least slightly better chances to white. So these positions are very, we can say, rich in possibilities. So b7, bd3, bd7, knight e5. One of the main ideas to snatch the bishop. White will get a bishop pair, plus, as I said, the majority on the queen side. Now black can go instant bc6 or first go castle. Here I took knight into c6, but castle is also an option after castle, qd5, then also we can take nc6. But if you don't want him to go bc6, d5, or if you don't want him to go qc6 especially, then we should take nc6 first. That is what I did. Since I took knight c6, bc, castle, and it's a very important position for the game. Because now white wants to stabilize his bishops on d3 and d4, and black wants to drive them away. So black wants c5, nd7, bf6, trade this bishop away, and then bishop against knight position remains. There also white is slightly better, but white should try to keep his bishop pair. The bishops are very active as well. So I go with the move queen e2. The point is that, see, black wants c5, we know that. Okay, and after c5, b5, he wants nd7 to drive this bishop away. So with queen e2, what I am doing, I am trying to stop that nd7 with the move rook d1. So let's say c5, this happened in the game, bishop e5, and now see, if nd7 instantly mistake, then comes rook d1. Knight e5 is stopped because see, bh7 check, and then I take on d8 and I recover e5 as well. So it would be queen and pawn versus rook and a minor piece, winning for white. And if qc8, then also see the tactic, bh7, kh7, qd3 check, kg8, qd7. See, white's position is very simple, but he is slightly better throughout. Lot of pressure is there on the black position. So we can say present position for white, and this is almost winning. After qd7, rook d7, the rook enters, the other rook comes to d1. Of course, my opponent didn't play nd7. He goes qb6, takes the queen away, and then he wants to do nd7. So I go rook d1. Now nd7 is of course stopped because bh7 and rook takes d7. He goes rook d8, and this is another a very important moment. I play c4. It looks like I am playing c4 for nd7, bishop c3, keeping the bishop on c3, right? But that is not the point. Here, black's best was rook c8. Opponent played nd7. We'll come to that. With rook c8, now white has two plans. I like the move f4 also over here. f4 because if nd7 and then ne5, then we can do fe. So that idea is also great. Let's say f4, nd7, b3. And then ne5, fe. This is also a great position. Threats of bh7, queen h5, queen f7 are there. So this position is very good. Even the simpler queen f3 is great. Queen a6. White can go first qg3. And now see, point is he cannot take a2 because queen a2, then rook a1, qb3, then bh7 check, and the queen is lost. So we are compelling him to play the move g6 and then go a3. So white gets a very good position. Do note that here again nd7 fails. After nd7 there is bh7, kh7, and the very strong c, rook d7, queen f7. It's game over. Bishop has to move, and after bf6, qd7, rd8, white has two ways. One is qc7, but the even stronger queen f7, when after b5, queen check, kg8, queen e5, and white is just winning. See, he has two extra pawns. So position is really great. Even e6 and c5 are weak. So we can say that after rook c8 also white at least has an edge in most of the lines. My opponent went nd7. Actually he thought I was aiming for bishop c3, but see, here came the tactic, bh7, kh7, rd7, queen e4. Initially I felt that maybe he saw further in this line because after f5, queen f3, rook d8, first driving the queen away, and then going queen a6. This was what I felt opponent thought. But then I said maybe this looks very risky for black. See, the king side is open, g6 is weak. Very risky for black to take pawns on the queen side. The queen would be stuck over there. So that is what happens here. In fact, this position is close to winning. Here I go b3. See, first small trap. Queen cannot take on a2 because after queen a2, see, queen h5 check, kg8, qg6. Disastrous position. See, e6 is going by force now. After bf8, queen e6, king moves, and we can even take on f5. So see, white is just winning. Do note that rook a1 would be blunder because queen a1, ba1, rd1 mates. So my opponent played bg5, but I thought now it's winning for white anyways. I went h4. If bishop h4, then queen h5 check, bishop is lost. So bishop h6, and I go h5. Trying to take advantage of the g6 weakness. See, once again if queen a2, then see, qg3, king g8, queen g6 check, queen a6 supporting e6, and now see rook a1. So queen has to go away, and now I use the tactic bg7, h6. Everything is lost. See, rook d7 lost, queen e8, rook is lost, queen b7 forced, then queen e6 check, king h8, hg. And this position is, as you can see, totally gone. Rook is hanging, so just the rook can be moved to e1 now. f5, c5, a7, see, all are weak. White is already a pawn up, plus the king is unsafe, so rook e3 is there, and rook h3. So this is winning for white. My opponent went g5, very risky move, but as soon as I played hg, G6, Qg3 check, he chose to resign. The point is that now see, there is a big problem. If king goes to f7, queen h4 is just double attack. The bishop and the rook hang. And after king h7, actually there are multiple things to choose from. I was considering the move qh4, threatening same if rook g8, then bishop f4, and then get rook d1 followed by rook d7. So I think this position is also totally winning after qh4. You can make out. Even the queen is eyeing the e7 square. So this I think white is winning only. So my opponent chose to resign. So the whole idea of showing you this game was to prepare you for the variations of Alapin. I hope you are finding these lessons useful and instructive. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.